So one of their favorite arguments for white supremacy's existence is but slavery. And I'm just going to clear it up now. Slavery was not supremacy. It was fragile men with whips. If you have to chain a people, steal their language, brand their bodies, and pass laws to make them less than, that's not supremacy. I'm just clearing that up now. It's spiritual terror management, because you don't enslave what you think is beneath you. You enslave what frightens you into silence if left free. Slavery is not proof of white dominance. It's proof of white dependence on stolen labor, on extracted brilliance, on eternal surveillance. If white supremacy were real, right? If it were real, I just want y'all to lock in. If white supremacy were real, the moment slavery ended, so would the fear. But what really happened? It mutated into black codes, into lynch mobs, into redlining, into mass incarceration. That is not supremacy. That is generational panic dressed up in all your favorite legal language. And let's go to all the arguments, because I truly want you to understand. Jim Crow also is not power. It's a performance. Segregation wasn't about pride. It was about containment. Water fountains, bus seats, lunch counters, all that. None of that was to elevate whiteness. It was to protect it from proximity to things it couldn't have, to keep it from dissolving in the presence of uncolonized joy. It took armies of laws to maintain the illusion of white supremacy. That's how fraudulent it is, because the lie cannot walk unassisted. Jim Crow is not a monument to white strength at all. It is a crutch for a collapsing myth. Let's go some more. Let's talk about the GI Bill. Because they say, but we gave veterans a future. Unless, cool, you can even imagine that. Because they gave veterans a future unless you were black, unless you were indigenous, unless you were part of the very machine that bled for a freedom you never received. Right. I just want to say that, because white veterans got homes, education, lands. You know what black veterans got? They got surveillance, denial, firebombs in their neighborhoods. So what did supremacy do when black bodies served it with honor? It shut the door in their face. That's still not supremacy. It's a grift. Right? That's all a grift, sealed in policy. See, you got to think about it. Because never in your life, never in history has anyone ever encountered this thing. Because if white supremacy was so powerful, why did they flinch at a bus boycott? Why did it suppress a sermon? Why did it panic at a sit-in? Right? Because deep down, you know it, I know it, we all know it. The spell was already breaking. You needed armies, dogs, hoses, and assassins just to stop a song and dignity. And you still lost. I just want to clear that up. You still lost. Supremacy that collapses when a child sings freedom is barely supreme. Barely. It was a curtain held up by the fear. By fear, that's all it is. I want to address a comment. Museums are literally cemeteries. Literally. Cemeteries with a gift shop. That's all it is. You call it heritage, you call it pride, but a museum full of stolen gods isn't history. It isn't. You know what we could call it? It's just a hostage situation. It's a hostage display. You looted entire civilizations, then put their brilliance in glass and called that civilization. I'm just saying that's insane. That none of that is evidence of superiority. I don't even want to call it. It's cultural burglary. It's cultural burglary framed as enlightenment. So I want you to sit with this, especially about the museums, because all of them are global graveyards. Because white supremacy cannot create the sacred. It couldn't create the sacred. It only possesses it. So I want y'all to sit with it like this. I want y'all to sit with it like this, because this shit is hilarious. It is conceptually once you really sit there and think about it. If the United States and white supremacy claim to be Rome, then blackness is the man carrying the cross on his back, not because he was conquered, but because they needed someone to sacred to crucify in public. And that's not empire. That's not even what you've achieved. You haven't even achieved empire. That's how tough the situation is for you. Can't cap. It's performance theology with blood smeared on its very lens that's recording. Slavery was a horror script and Jim Crow was the stage set. And the GI Bill, it got to be your favorite bait and switch. The civil rights backlash, that was a temper tantrum. That was the meltdown. The museums are the credits of the movie that you didn't even write. You ain't even write it. I want to pick a new name for white supremacy. New name. Because I want people to understand it and be able to see it beautifully. It is the longest running identity crisis the world has ever seen. It is the longest running crisis of identity the world has ever seen. Ever. And it doesn't even end with applause. It just ends with the mirror shatters. I'm just saying, we can pull the plug on this one. There's a lot of things we fighting that are real. That is not real.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? What's up, brothers and sisters? Welcome back to the channel, and I hope you're doing great today. Welcome back for another video. And what we're talking about here is I think it is time we challenge the narrative of telling us about, white supremacy, because it has proven itself time and again that it is not actually supremacy, it is white insecurity. And how about we start to call it white insecurity? Because that is exactly what it is. It has shown itself clearly that it is insecurity. It is not superiority. It is an illusion of superiority, which actually is an inferiority complex that's being hidden in the language to make you believe that probably it is superior. It is superiority, but it is not. Yeah, I want us to continue to listen to this brother. I have really liked what he's trying to tell us here in this video. And at the end of this video, I'll also explain to you in a little bit details why I think it is not white supremacy. It is actually white insecurity. See you on the other side.
They say white supremacy ruled the world. White people conquered the globe. Western civilization is proof of their superiority. No. I could just say nope. You can just say nope right now. That was never a reign. It was a ritual. It was a stage act so persistent it had to film itself to be believed. Because if white supremacy means supremacy, as in unmatched, undefeated, dominant over others, then where are their trophies? I'm just asking good questions. I'm just asking questions here. The Roman Empire burned itself alive. I don't even know if that counts. It learned its math from Egypt and stole its gods from the East. The British Empire, I don't know if that counts either, not gonna lie. It held the world for a blink and collapsed under tea, debt, and rebellion. It literally needed slavery and extraction to even survive. Now they sell souvenirs of what they stole. Is that a trophy? Western science leapt off of Muslim traditions, African astronomy, and indigenous agriculture. They colonized knowledge, not produced it. Even DNA theory comes from Rosalind Franklin, not even the men they awarded. I'm just saying. Hollywood was just a machine to make whiteness visible, not even victorious. So his job was never even to tell the truth, only to loop the myth until you believed it. That's not supremacy. That's editing with flags. I'm just saying what it is. And then let's talk a little deeper, because I truly think it's all fake. I'm calling a bluff. I'm calling bullshit here. Let's say you believe supremacy means domination over other peoples. Okay, let's just test that. Africa. You invaded, yes, but you never conquered. Mali, Ethiopia, Congo, they existed before Europe even found soap. Europe carved the borders but never broke the soul of nothing. Asia, China outlasted every empire y'all had. India taught the world language, math, and medicine. Every time Europe entered, they took notes. America, the land, didn't even consent to y'all. Genocide is not victory. It's desperation. And the people still here right now. That's not conquest. You failed to erase them. The Middle East, literally the cradle of civilization. And Europe keeps bombing what it can't comprehend. They don't need, they see, the thing is, they think they have rule over there. They don't need crusades, oil, and lies for power. They need it to stay relevant. It's projection warfare. And who exactly did whiteness conquer? I just need answers. Because every race it claimed to dominate still exists, still resists, and still creates. You didn't conquer. You narrated conquest and looped it. I can even go deeper than this. White supremacy is fake. It's fake. Right. I gotta show you what I mean. It's all fake. It's all myth. It's all screens. This is Oz. Like, that's all we're looking at. Let's talk about the world wars. Didn't we win the world wars? Isn't that proof of supremacy? World War I. It is a war between white empires over stolen colonies, fought mostly with non-white bodies, on their behalf. Millions of Africans, Indians, Asian troops were pulled into the trenches for European ego disputes. Victory meant what exactly? I just want answers. More carving up of the world, more rituals of grief, more PTSD buried under armor, not even supremacy. It was just a meat grounder for brown bodies rebranded as moral victory. Let's talk about World War II, because this is another one. This is another one people say we won. We won. Didn't they say we got victory there or something? Nah. Fake. It's fake. It was fought to stop white supremacy by the same nations who invented it. What even is that? America joined late and turned the Japanese, segregated its own troops, and still lynched black veterans when they came home. I just want answers. The Nazis lost, but the logic never truly dismantled at all. It got rebranded and moved into media, policy, policing, whatever y'all want to hang out with it. You did not defeat even your own supremacy. Even your own fraudulence you couldn't take down. So all that white supremacy is a more photogenic version of what supremacy really is. You want to know who turned the tide in that war? Russians absorbing the blood clots. That's all it was. Africans and Caribbean troops in British uniforms. Asian battlefronts draining fascist momentum. Black American soldiers fighting for freedom abroad they never got at home. Winning the world wars is not a triumph of whiteness. It is global trauma staged as Western glory. I can actually paint to you the whole little white mirror. This is how white supremacy works. This is how it works. You ever wanted to know? This is just it. They film it, loop it, teach it, quote it, stage it, then repeat it. I can do it again. They film it. They film it first. Then they loop it. They get it shown everywhere. Then they teach it. They make it seem like it's proper in an institution. Then they quote it by the people you respect. Then they stage it. They reenact it in real life. Then they repeat it for real. Every failure gets recast as a noble effort. Every theft becomes founding. I'm just saying. Every surviving people becomes a rebellion instead of rejecting the lie. It didn't rule. It performed. And we call that supremacy. White supremacy is not a god, it's just a glitch. And it needs visibility to feel real. The moment the camera turns off, it dissolves. That's why it clings to curriculum. That's why it clings to statues, flags, holidays, uniforms, borders. Because without the ritual, the myth collapses. That's all it is. And hold on. Because I'm still not ready to read your comment. Bro. The news today had me pissed, because let's just be done with this. White people are naturally superior, that whole argument. Then why build 10,000 laws to protect that fragility? What? White culture is foundational? There is no such thing. It doesn't even exist. It's a mashup of stolen rituals, suppressed ancestors, and rebranded myths. I got a whole video on this. White supremacy built the world? That's how y'all talking still? It staged the world and then edit everyone else out the frame like a child begging for attention. If supremacy means dominance, then white supremacy failed. I don't know how y'all sit with this shit. If it means visibility, then it means that white supremacy was never true. It was curated. If it means conquest, that means it lost to rhythm, memory, resistance, spirit, and truth. You a 5-time loser. I'm just saying. Let's just keep going. Because this wasn't a reign. It's a spotlight. That's all white supremacy is. It's the conquering of the spotlight. And now that bulb is dying, the mirror is cracked, and the audience is leaving. So let that ritual end. I'm just asking for you to let the myth collapse, because it's all fantastical. It's all fake anyway. I'm just saying, because white supremacy is not a power at all. I don't even think we should regard it as equal to blackness. Ooh. Nah, I'm being dead ass. I'm actually being dead ass. So in this, I want people to understand that we got to clear the house on this. You got to clear your own spots on this. It's actually that big of a problem. This little false reality that everybody's been living in. Everybody talking about, I just don't know where I'm from, I'm goop. This is what you wanted to be reduced to? I'm just saying. Let's talk about black capitalism. Let's talk about that. I get asked about that a lot. Black capitalism or black supremacy, whatever you want to talk about it, has already swallowed the framework. They think we need to flip the script. But if you're still holding the same script, then you're in the same play reading the script that they have right side up, upside down. That's all it is. Supremacy is inherently weak. It's for those who fear shared sunlight. It's a worldview for people who assume love is scarce, who assume power is a zero-sum game, and belonging must be conquered to them. But I'm just being honest, blackness at its deepest rhythm just knows better. It knows how to dance to exile. It knows how to feed multitudes from scraps. It knows how to exist without erasure. Why would we want to be supreme when we've always been sacred? Do you see what I'm coming from? Because a lot of black people think that we want to be the new guys on top. That's not the story. We need joy without surveillance. That's what I want to see. I want to see truth without interruption. Type shit. I'm just saying. I want the end of supremacist architecture altogether, because it's all built on illusions. It's all fake. I swear to God. It was the biggest realization that I've ever seen, that I ever felt. It's just all fraudulent.
Okay, welcome back. So after listening to that brother, now this is why this so-called white supremacy isn't supremacy. It is actually white insecurity. For example, it needs violence, lies, and control to survive. If truly it is superiority, do you really need to use guns, slavery, colonization? Do you really need to put others down so you can lift yourself? True superiority doesn't have to prove itself by really undermining the well-being of other people. And that's why we're saying it is not superior. It is an inferiority complex that is being hidden behind the words, behind an illusion. Now, another point that really tell you is the obsession with blackness reveals a deep lying fear and envy. Look at do you imagine, can you steal what has no value to you? No, you cannot steal what has no value to you. If really blackness is inferior, if truly people of color are inferior to white people, then why is it that they steal everything from black people? Because look at the American case, for example. What is white American culture? Do we even have a white American culture? But we actually have African American culture, Black American culture. I myself, as an African, knows clearly that there is African American culture, and it's not African. Yeah, it has a lot of similarities, but it is not. They have, in their way, over time, they have forged their own culture that even in Africa, even though with the similarities, we don't appropriate, we appreciate, we borrow, and we actually acknowledge that it is from our brothers. But in the case of white American culture, what is white American culture, for instance, if it is not, stealing the culture of black people, the music, in inventions, innovations, businesses, ideas of black people? And then why is it then that they steal if it has no value? So it is just an obsession of with blackness, which really does tell us that these people are envious of what black people have. And then let's talk about the fear of genetic annihilation. And this is well explained by Dr. Cress Welsing. And white people are basically a minority when it comes to population and when it comes to genetics. Because whenever we have a combination of a white and black person, the offsprings are usually black people, because black genetics are superior, or rather, biologically, we can say then they are dominant. And if you see the panic with with white people of trying to segregate and live alone in their own cocoons, is because of this fear of genetic annihilation. They have realized that they can't survive when we come together. They can't survive because then their genetics are even if we were not to call it inferior, then, but scientifically or biologically, we will say they are not dominant. So then they only have a chance of survival if they stay on their own as, a white community. And that's why you see right now in America, they are panicking and trying to come up with white-only settlements. That cannot even work. Why? Because they think they're going to be wiped out of, the face of the earth. Anytime there is integration, it is to their disadvantage. So they always have this underlying fear of that at some point in time, when we continue to integrate and mix with people of color, then we will not be there. And then they have never really wanted to face their fears and say and accept that they actually are a minority. You see, white people have never been a majority in the world at any given point in time. No, historically, they have never been the majority. They have always been a minority in terms of population. But they have used underhand tactics to undermine other people and just to appear as if these people are, you know, a majority. But they are not. It is lies and use of violence and force. And another point here is the system is built on lies and not superiority. Case in point, erasure of African civilization. The history of Africa is really has really been erased and tainted and changed. And African civilizations have actually been either completely erased and burned down or stolen. There have been a lot of civilizations way before Europe came to Africa, or the Europeans, the white man came to Africa. But nobody talks about them until you go deep down the rabbit hole to find out, and then you will know that there were a lot and earlier, very early civilizations in the African continent, but nobody wants to talk about, or they're actually hidden until you realize that white people don't even want to accept. And the sad part is they even make a few other black people believe that the pyramids in Egypt were not built by Africans, as if there was any other people that lived in Africa before black people. Africa is the home of mankind, is the very starting point of mankind. And the very beginning of mankind is black people. So no one else has lived in Africa before, or we can say nobody else has lived on earth before before black people. So definitely the pyramids of Egypt and all the complexities within that structure are actually an earlier civilization of black people, but they don't want to accept. Someone told me, and I really now come to believe that white people stole everything possible to be stolen in Africa. Resources, and more than that, the people. They stole people. That's why we have black people in Americas, in the Caribbeans, and everywhere else. And they stole land. They stole food. And the only thing they really couldn't lift and take to Europe are the pyramids and land itself, because it's practically impossible to carry the pyramids. Otherwise, why it possible? If they even stole sculptures, artifacts, they stole artifacts and skulls of dead people, dead black people, and they store them today in libraries in France, in Belgium, in Germany, and in the UK. If they manage to steal that, the artifacts, African artifacts, the people, and then they came and they grabbed and stole land and stayed here. It's only that you couldn't airlift land to take it back to Europe. It's only that you cannot airlift the pyramids. They would have airlifted and planted them somewhere in Europe, and they would be, chest thumping how they came up with the pyramids. So, and there are a lot more. There are a lot more civilizations that were there before the coming of the Europeans to Africa, but have been erased, so you don't understand. And you don't erase what has no value to you. You don't erase what doesn't, sell or send you some fear of being inferior. So that's what's up. And this is what white people have done, not only in Africa. Look at the example in America. You'd think America belongs to white people until you realize those people are just illegal immigrants. And in fact, they're refugees who are rejects in their own countries in Europe, and they found a place with good, welcoming people. And when they were welcome, they did what they do best. They used violence, they used force and guns and deceit to take over the land and the people in America. America had people before the Mayflower, before the ships that carried the European rejects from their own empires. Australia had black people. Australia had aboriginals. But what happened to them? Yeah, that's what's up. That is what we're talking about, and say this is fear being packaged as superiority. So it's about time we started to call it white fear, white inferiority instead of white supremacy, because that is really the truth. Yeah, I have loved what that brother was trying to really tell us in that video, and that's what's up. It's time we question this. It's time we question everything that this system has brought about, because the system itself is whitewashed. Yeah. So yeah, that is what I had for you in this interesting video. I know you might have something you want to share. Please go down to the comment section and let me know what you think about it. And if you love this video, then please give it a thumbs up, and you might as well share it with your friends or your family. And we've come to the end of this video. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.